Okay. So David is saying, God, be merciful to me, of your love, your great compassion, erase all of the wrongs I have done. Scrub away my guilt and wash me clean from my sin. Okay. And as I said before, the title of the message is The Breastplate of Righteousness and the Law of Attraction. Or should I say the Law of Attraction and the Breastplate of Righteousness. In this scripture, David has self-awareness. David pleads for God's mercy and for God to cleanse him, mostly behavior, and to be cleansed from his sin. In recognition of his current disposition, he is asking for forgiveness and restoration. So I'm going to make this word living to you this morning. Who you with? I'm asking the question, who are you with? Or who you with, as they say, children talk in their language. Who you with? See, negative people don't sleep, and that's where I stopped off before. Negative people don't sleep well. Being a master's level psychologist, I not only have worked with patients and clients on this, but I usually for both children and adults. When individuals are preoccupied with worry, negative thoughts, or past regrets, it can keep their mind active at night, making it difficult to fall asleep. Psychological arousal can create a cycle where poor sleep aspirates negative emotions, further hindering your sleep. In other words, it makes you pretty hard to deal with. So let's talk about the law of attraction, since that's part of the title, and the breastplate of righteousness. One is physical, yet summoning the spirit, and one is totally spiritual, summoning the triune God in all things in heaven. No matter what you focus on, what you think about, in the law of attraction, you're attracting. I want to have the law of attraction in a favorable position to get me to the other side. I think we all do. But the thing is that we have to stop attracting negative. We have to start attracting the positive. The words that come out of our mouth to make it exist, we must focus our thoughts, our words that come out of our mouth as the law of attraction is at work. Use me, for example, since I'm the best person I can talk about. I've been asked, your life seems so wonderful. How do you manage? Me like you have problems, and I have stuff just like everybody else. I just don't touch everything. See, some things we have to, this excludes peeping and the door is ajar. We have to stop allowing our soul and our eyes and our inner spirit to peep and be ajar. We must stop touching everything. We must stop talking and thinking all things doom and gloom. We We have to stop saying negative things. Like if you've been around me, you've probably heard me say that when I was growing up, my dad would not allow people to come in the house with negative energy or negative conversations. He just didn't want that spirit in there. The word says in Matthew 15 verses 17 and through 19, don't you see that whatever enters the mouth goes into the stomach and then out of the body? But the things that come out of a person's mouth come from the heart, and these defy them. For out of the heart comes evil thoughts, such as murder. You're killing people in different ways. Adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. So with that said, let me tell you a little story. Jesus called the people to him. He said, listen and understand what I am saying. Do you understand the words that's coming out of my mouth? It is not what people put in their mouth that make them wrong. It is what comes out of their mouth that makes them wrong. Then the followers came to Jesus and he asked him, do you know that the Pharisees are upset with you about what you said? Jesus answered, every plant that my Father in heaven has not planted will be pulled up by the roots. Stay away from the Pharisees. They lead the people, but they are like blind men leading other blind men. And if a blind man leads another blind man, both of them will fall in a ditch. Peter said to Jesus, explain to us what you said earlier to the people. Jesus says, do you still have trouble understanding? Surely you know that all the food that enters the mouth goes to your stomach. Then it goes out of your body. But the bad things people say with their mouth come from the way they think. And that's what can make people wrong. All these bad things begin in your mind. Your evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual sins, stealing, lying, insulting people. These are the things that make people wrong. Eating without washing your hands will never make people unacceptable to God. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading and the hearing of his holy word of that beautiful story in the gospel according to Matthew chapter 15, starting at the 10th verse all the way down to the 20th verse. The Pharisees were just harassing Jesus. You too, as you're doing the work of the Lord, whatever that is, are going to be harassed. So I want you to know your worth. I want you to understand and know and stand in your knowledge. Moving on. Stop thinking someone else's journey. Stop thinking about somebody else's journey, wanting their journey. In other words, you want what someone else has. Even if your privilege gives it to you, called nepotism, you don't know the instructions of the necessary discipline involved and the cost that's needed, that has taken place to put you in that journey. You don't know that. You don't know what they've had to go through. You don't know what they had to prepare, the training involved and everything else. Someone comes to you for your job, from your job, and takes you out. You is excitedly, in your spirit, you're excited about it, so you go. You do remember that you are married, but your spouse isn't invited. You go for drinks across town because you don't want other people to see your car and so on and so on. Eventually, the two of you, after you had your little brown liquor you decide you're going to kiss. You don't think much about it, but you kiss. In your mind, y'all go further. Physically, y'all don't. Since things didn't kick off, he's moved on to someone else at your job. You say you don't want that, but your words, your thoughts, and your emotions are erupted every time he makes a move. Every step you take, every breath you make, every step you take, every breath you make, I will be watching you. Remember that song from the 70s? Girl, man, you're still there? Now you're emotionally cheating because it's all in your head, it's in your spirit. You're attracting everything, bone of my bones, spirit to spirit. While you go home to your spouse every day, doing the normal things, you're secretly with that other person. Whatever their actions are, you jump. Whatever they do, you jump. Whatever they do, you jump. You're sitting down having dinner with your spouse, but your mind and your spirit is with that other person. You keep replaying that date that you had. You keep replaying that kiss that you made. And when you see them as they moved on from you because you didn't offer them anything, you're upset. Why is it rattling you? It wouldn't rattle you if it wasn't in you. To attract the proper solution, let go of all of that negative. The law of attraction is similar to the spiritual, this breastplate of righteousness around your waist. Now, they're two totally different things, but they have some similarities. See, the breastplate of righteousness and the law of attraction, they really aren't the same, although they share the same conceptual similarity. Like I said earlier, the breastplate of righteousness is a biblical concept, but a biblical concept referring to the armor of God used for protection against evil. The law of attraction, on the other hand, is a philosophy about the power of thoughts, the power of intentions to influence your outside world. While both involve a sense of protection and influence, they operate within different frameworks and contexts. God does everything He says He's going to do. We do some of the things that we're going to do. When you're under attack, here's how the breastplate of righteousness works for us. Number one, it is our protection when we're under spiritual warfare. It's our protection against temptation and against evil. Number two, it shields us from attacks from the enemy and to be right in God's eyes. Number three, it's purely spiritual in nature. Thus, we rely on faith, we rely on righteousness and God's grace. Number four, we're relying on our moral integrity and the relationship with God. So practice specializing in being positive. Some people, all they think, all they speak, and all they eat is pure negative. Positive and negative is a choice. Let me say it again. Positive and negative is a choice. Today, you need to choose positive and optimism and think wide perspective. Let go in your mind all things pessimistic, doom and gloom. Let that go. Wherever your spirit is, there you are. You want to know where you are? Check your spirit. Look around at who you're with, because there is you. It's the law of attraction. Now, the breastplate of righteousness is the weapon to clear your soul, to clear your mind and your emotions, gutting everything out that's poison, because we're spiritually digesting things. The breastplate of righteousness is our weapon to clear our ears and other senses from things that's trying to harm us. So make up your mind what you want. Stop the madness. Stop looking at, get your head and your hands and your mind and your spirit out of the cookie jar. Remember that person that went to the bar with the other person at work? Both are married, but nobody brought their spouses. If they brought their spouses, the conversation would have been a lot different, and the actions would have been a lot different. Or would there have been at all? And one last thing I want to tell you. Some interpretations of the law of attraction may align with positive thinking and seeking good. The law of attraction focuses on material desires and wealth, which goes against the teachings of the Bible in some instances and other spiritual traditions that emphasize righteousness. There's nothing wrong with having money and having wealth, but there are some things that contradict. The breastplate of righteousness is all things spiritual. It's a concept of putting on God's armor that we find in the book of Ephesians chapter 6, around the 14th verse, that teaches us to guard our heart and lives against the attacks of the enemy. When I say the attacks of the enemy, anybody can be used at any time to attack you. Anything antagonistic, that's evil, by living a life of righteousness. This involves actively pursuing God's will and living in accordance with His moral standards. It is not just about your outward actions, but also about transforming your inner self to reflect God's righteousness. Remember, I asked you a question, who you with? That's what they're talking about. Where your spirit is, so are you. Breastplate of righteousness and the law of attraction. That's what we're talking about today. The law of attraction and the breastplate of righteousness. Well, that is my word for you today. Go in peace, go in love, and go in forgiveness. To God be the glory. Ogunufa Oluwa, Amadi Labari, Selah, and say, and until next time, by God's graces, I'll see you again. And then like and subscribe to our channel so you can get notifications. And we've been doing a series on spiritual care to help people who are caregivers, those that are working in those areas, and they just need some spiritual care support for their life. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.